Hi everyone and welcome to the RC Retro channel. Some very exciting news. A new brand of RC has made its way onto the channel. They're not exactly new, they've only been out for about 40 years, but it's new considering I don't have any of their RCs featured on my channel. But I've been able to get my hands on one and I'm super excited. And of course I'm talking about the Losi JRX-PRO. That's right, Team Losi RC will now be featured on my channel. And I'm very, very pleased to have finally gotten my hands on one that is in such great condition. Now, the JRX-PRO was the third RC put out by Losi. The first one being the JRX-2 in 1988. Then in 1989 was the jrx-t, their first stadium truck, and then this one. It's a very, I want to say, sleek looking buggy. It's super sharp. I love the way it looks. Obviously this is not box art, but the box art one I'm going to throw up here. Now, to me, I think this is one of the best looking vintage buggies out there. It's right up there with the Marui Ninja, which you see up here, which is being blocked by, ooh yeah, the Macho Man. But yeah, you know, a lot of people think this is one of the best looking vintage buggies, and I have to agree. But the box art JRX-PRO is right up there with the Marui Ninja. The black, the pink, the orange, it's just super cool looking. Well, anyways, all right, back to this. Now, Losi RC has a very extensive history. In the late 70s, they were into skateboards, and then they made the transition into RC, where they manufactured custom-made parts. And interestingly enough, Team Associated approached them and asked them if they would help design their first off-road buggy, that being the RC-10. And so there was the gentleman handshake, and they came to an agreement. And then once the RC-10 was created and mass-produced, Team Associated kind of backtracked on their deal, and the whole thing went sideways. And so Gil Losi and his son, and a few other people whose names escape my memory right now, kind of branched off on their own and created Losi RC, and then, you know, started putting out their own RC cars. Now, there's actually a lot more to that story. That was kind of just the gist of it right there. But if you're interested in knowing more about the history, there's a great 4-part series on YouTube that was put out by Team Losi to celebrate their 40th anniversary. I'll post a link to those videos down below in the description. It ranges from what I just explained, you know, the origins of how the company came to be, the hardships that they had, some of their featured drivers over the course of the years, the development of their first stadium truck, and then of course it goes into where they're moving towards in the future. So it's very interesting. That's where I got a lot of my information from. And so, you know, if you have some time, I would definitely go check that out. It's very, very interesting. Well, as far as this JRX-PRO, I found this on Facebook Marketplace. It wasn't in one of the vintage RC groups. It was just generally posted, and the owner wanted $300. And I was kind of like, $300. But then as soon as I started scrolling through the pictures, I was like, yo, this thing is in awesome condition. And then I got to the pictures where I saw that all this other stuff was included, and I was like, can't pass that up. And it was $300 including the shipping. So I gotta say, the original owner of this was meticulous. I mean, the buggy's in awesome condition, and when I opened up the box, everything was nice and neatly wrapped, and even the boxes themselves are like in excellent to mint condition. So took really good care of his stuff. As far as the buggy, I really do like the paint scheme on here. The metallic copper and the white and the yellow looks cool to me. The wing clear, I might paint this up white, but the yellow with the yellow on here and the copper is kind of an eyesore, the neon yellow. So I might switch these over to black, because if I were to do white with the white wing and, you know, a good portion of the body is white, it might be too much white. So I think black would look good on here. So let's get this off. Oh, I'm gonna open it right over here. Now, I want to say a good majority of this is in original condition, but like I said, some aftermarket parts and you know, some slight alterations were made to the chassis. So let's start off from the front of the buggy. I want to say original bumper, original bulkhead right over here. It says JRX2 on here, and original shock tower. Okay, what is not original on here? Well, the front arms are RPM and the ball cups are RPM. And the tie rods on here, I want to say are titanium Lunsford ones. When I reached out to the owner, one of my questions were, are these titanium? And he said he had no clue and couldn't recall. He said, put a magnet up to it, because if a magnet sticks to it, it's steel. And then they're not, you know, they're not titanium. So I put a magnet up to it, and sure enough, the magnet did not stick. The magnet just dropped off. It wasn't magnetized. So I want to say these are titanium, and in doing research online, they look like Lunsford ones. So if in fact that is the case, that's just an extra bonus right there, right? The shocks on here are not the original shocks. The shocks on the JRX-PRO were the extra long Teflon coated ones with a shock collar that you could adjust the springs. These are the threaded ones, and they are from a Losi XXX, which came out much, much later. But the owner told me he put these on to improve the performance and did not have the original shocks. Either way, I don't mind. They look cool, and you know, if it improves the performance, that's great, because, well, I am going to run this eventually. So as far as the steering, I can't say for sure if this is the original steering or if it is a what is it, a factory works. I'm not 100% sure. If you know, drop me a comment, because again, I am not an expert when it comes to Losi RC, nor am I an expert on any other vintage RC cars. this is a learning experience for me. So we shall see. As far as the servo in here, he said it was a high-speed servo, Futaba S9301. I will put that in Google and check out the specs on that. Making our way to the chassis. This is the original chassis. However, it has some additional holes drilled in it, and that's to swap out the original two-piece battery holder to these PureTech battery straps, and that's because he wanted to run different types of batteries in here. But he said he never used it, so he included it. So this is brand new, never used, and these two-piece battery holders that have, like, you know, that say Team Losi on it are very hard to come by, and when they do pop up on eBay, they are rather expensive. So if I were to ever restore this, very pleased that I have this right here. So, all right. And also, something else I noticed in doing some research online, the JRX Pros have a little square cutout over here for the servo. This one does not. When I asked him if this was like an aftermarket chassis, he said no, the original JRX Pros used, and I have written down here, the early versions used a JRX Performance Upgrade Kit, which was used to convert the JRX2 into a JRX Pro. Now, the JRX2 had the 5-link suspension in the rear, and eventually when this came out, people wanted to convert it to a JRX Pro, and so I guess they created this chassis plate, so this way you could eliminate the 5-link suspension and maybe even swap over to the H-arms in the rear and the front. And so that's what he's saying the early versions of the JRX Pro used. Now, I am not 100% sure if that is accurate. This is what the original owner is telling me, so I can only go by what he shared. If you know otherwise or can confirm this, drop a comment down below and, you know, share your knowledge with me, right? Moving to the rear, we have this really nice vintage Novak ESC, which looks to be in great condition. Again, original rear shock tower. Again, the XXX shocks in the back. But from that point on in the rear, this is all original. Gearbox, which the diff seems to be smooth. The outdrives, the rear H-arms. But I'm not 100% sure on the gear cover over here, which I think is pretty cool because it has this little swivel thing on it. So this way you can get in and adjust the slipper on here. So the motor on here is a Trinity Monster horsepower. I actually have 2 of these, and even on the box over here, it doesn't even say what turn this motor is. So I have 2 in my collection. I'm pointing down here like in my drawers, like you can see that. But I'm glad this one is in here, and I will run this in here and see how it performs and how it handles. And then really nice, the motor plate in the back, this aluminum motor plate, Team Losi Performance is etched in on there. So overall, extremely pleased with this buggy and the condition it is in. Awesome. I'm so happy I finally have one of these on the channel. Now, in addition to this, got some other parts besides a whole thing of H-arms over here for the rear. Unfortunately, he did not have the front, so I'll be trying to source those. Another original front, I know you're just looking at bubble wrap right over here. Another front and rear original shock tower in here. I'm trying to keep this video to a minimum and move along quickly. A whole bunch of different spur and pinion gears in here, which is something I never played around with on any of my cars, which is you know, the gear ratio. So that's something, you know, we might decide to do in the future. Again, the original battery tray, some awesome parts right here. This Futaba Magnum radio, mint condition, boxes in awesome condition. Even included batteries in here. This Monster Horsepower box in mint condition. This Novak charger, which I'm going to throw a picture up right here. It's like a showpiece. Like if I was to ever have like a glass cabinet where I would showpiece all my vintage parts and cars and stuff, this would definitely be in there. Awesome. And this the original box for the ESC in awesome condition. So when I opened all this up, I was just like blown away. I was like, wow, this stuff is in mint condition, awesome. And for the price I paid, I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to tell you guys, like I said, $300 for all this. So I think it was a very good deal. So any other vintage Losis going to come to the channel? Yes. I'm in the process right now of working out a deal for a stadium truck. So I'm not going to tell you which stadium truck it is, but keep an eye out for that. And yes, I will use it in the stadium truck class, which is going to be new for our season 2 of Race Night videos. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know I babbled on a lot, but I just wanted to share my excitement, enthusiasm with all of you. This is awesome. And no, anyways, thanks for checking out the video. And if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. And I just want to thank you all for your support. So be well, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care now. Let's go, let's go.